There is a grief no one sends flowers for. No one takes the day off work for it. No card arrives in the post. No black dress waits, ready in the closet. Because the person you are grieving is still alive, still breathing, somewhere, perhaps not far from where you sit right now. And that is precisely what makes this loss so difficult to hold. No one else can see it. You know this ache if you have lived it. It is the grief of loving someone who is still here, technically, but who is no longer here in the way they once were, or the way you needed them to be, or the way you spent years hoping they might finally become. If this is you, I want you to know, before we go any further, you are not being dramatic. You are not making something out of a person who has simply changed. What you carry is real, it has weight, it has shape. And tonight, we are going to give it a name. There is a particular quiet that settles in after you have stopped expecting someone to change. Not the loud quiet of an empty house, a different one, the kind that arrives after years of hoping, when hope finally goes still. Not gone, only tired, worn down from having been carried too long, by hands that were never given anywhere to set it. Perhaps it is a parent who is still alive but was never truly present, not even now, not even across the holiday table, passing the potatoes, speaking of things that do not matter. Perhaps it is a friend a few miles away, whose number you still keep, whose voice you would know at once. And yet the friendship itself, the one you actually miss, has already gone. It left somewhere between 1 year and the next, so quietly you cannot even name the day it happened. Perhaps it is someone changed by illness, or by the slow erosion of an old dependency, or simply by time and distance, and the drift that two people can fall into without ever choosing it. The body remains. You could reach out and touch it if you wished, but the person you knew, the one who laughed a certain way, who understood exactly how you took your coffee, who once felt like home, has gone. And no one teaches us how to mourn someone who is still standing in front of us. There is a particular loneliness in that. The loneliness of missing someone while they are still in the room. You have likely caught yourself doing this, passing an old photograph and feeling something close around your throat. Not because someone died, but because that version of them did. You have mourned a phone call that never came, a birthday that passed unmarked, an apology you are still, quietly, no longer expecting. You have grieved someone who is alive to hear it and has still not said it. And here is the part almost no one speaks aloud. You have likely grieved this person more than once. Grief does not ask permission before it returns. It does not check whether you have already done this work. It arrives again at a wedding, in a hospital corridor, on some ordinary afternoon when you watch someone else's parent arrive for them the way yours never arrived for you. And there it is again, the same old ache, wearing a different day. You have become the kind of person who says, lightly, "We are not close," when someone asks. Brief, tidy, without mess. Because the truth takes longer to tell and costs more to say aloud. And most people do not know what to do with a grief that has no funeral to attend. So you have carried this quietly, for a long time most likely. Perhaps you have never spoken it, not even to yourself, not in these words. Here is the truth beneath all of it, the one I do not think anyone has told you plainly enough. This is not disloyalty. What you feel is not a betrayal of someone still alive, still, in whatever fashion, part of your life. It is not selfishness, it is not invention, it is grief, true grief. Because grief was never only about death. It has always been about loss, and a person can be lost in 1,000 ways that have nothing to do with dying. You lose them when they change and do not return. You lose them when the relationship you needed never arrived, however many chances you offered it. You lose them in the distance between who they are and who you needed them to be, a distance that does not close. However much you love them, however much you forgive. And so you are left holding two things that do not often sit well together. Love, still present, stubborn, and real. And grief for the version of them, or the version of the two of you, that was never permitted to exist. It is possible to love someone and still mourn what they never gave you. Both are true at once. Neither cancels the other. You are allowed to grieve someone who is still breathing. You are allowed to miss a version of them that may have only ever lived in your hope for them. You are allowed to set down the phone after a call that leaves you more alone than before you dialed. You are allowed to stop waiting for an apology that will not come and let that, quietly, be its own kind of ending, even without the door closing fully. Here is something worth keeping, that you can still feel this after so much disappointment, after every way this person let you down, or drifted, or simply never arrived. This is not a wound in you. It is proof that your heart never went numb. It would have been easier, in a way, to stop caring altogether. You did not, and that is not a small thing to have carried. Somewhere within you, there remains a version of yourself who still hoped this person would finally arrive. That hope is not foolish. It is not a weakness to be outgrown. It was love, reaching in the only language it knew. And even if it is never met, even if it never finds anywhere to land, the fact that you are capable of hoping so deeply says everything about who you are, and none of it against you. You need not keep waiting for them to become who you needed. You are permitted to grieve that fully and still walk forward. Not because you have stopped loving them, but because you have finally allowed yourself to mourn what was never coming. And that mourning, strange as it may sound, is the quiet doorway home to yourself. You were never wrong to miss someone who is still here. You were only carrying a loss the world never gave you a name for. And perhaps that is the quiet grace in all of it. You kept your heart open in a world that gave you every reason to close it. That is not brokenness. That is the most human thing there is.